because he was he was the Jake Paul of his generation, basically.
Jake Paul, the boxer?
Who am I thinking of? A YouTuber that was a big name for a while ago. My kids couldn't stop talking about him. I'm
That might be Jake Paul. He's fighting Mike Tyson this year.
okay. Good for him.
And to anybody who is watching and anything like that, I'm letting you know right now. I'm betting all my money on Tyson, and
Yeah,
that is
same here.
not
I
even
would.
necessarily like I think he's gonna tank him. But what I want
I mean, I
right
under.
there on the wall, I want a picture of Tyson coming out of retirement at almost 60 years old to absolutely clown somebody. Like I want
That,
that.
yeah, I
Tyson
mean,
Tyson was my guy. Like when I was a boxer, Tyson was boxing. That like he was my guy. He was my champion.
see, yeah, and that's the thing is like when
Oh, as
there
an
are
adult to be able to see him.
there are certain people, like even when, like, I am not a boxing fan, but I know who Mike Tyson is, just like I know who Muhammad Ali is. I am not a basketball fan, but I know who Michael Jordan is. There are people whose ability in a sport transcend society as a whole, and we all know who they are, even if we are not following in that. And I don't
I
know
will
who
say
this fucking dumbass is who thinks he can go toe to toe with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, yeah,
Iron Mike.
I don't care if he's 80 years old. He
That's
will
what I was
take
telling
this.
my buddy. Like if Mike Tyson was on his deathbed, I would still be nervous because I wouldn't know. It's like, how do you want to go out, Mike?
Right.
Do you want to be tired and reading poetry? Is that the version we're gonna get, or am I gonna get a dying tiger making one final strike? Like, because it does not matter. It's Mike
Right.
fucking Tyson.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, I don't know if it's the same Jake Paul that I'm talking about here, but whoever he is, he's clearly not bright.
He really thinks that he's gonna take him out. Like he is talking trash. He is like right to Tyson's face. Like whatever you have to say about Jake Paul, I will say this: biggest balls I've ever fucking seen.
Okay. I
To
was only
be
pulling him out as an example
to
because,
be able to talk to Mike Tyson like that, um, and not even at the dumbest stages of my life was I so confident that I could have done that.
fame does weird things to people, apparently.
Yeah, but why does fame want you to like? Why do you want brain damage? Because I mean, this is like Jake Paul is from the generation of training one way.
Hmm.
Sure. Like there's fighting techniques, you can learn stuff, there's a lot of different coaches and he's got the money. Tyson's from the Pugil generation.
Mm.
You know what I mean by that? Do you
Oh,
know
yeah,
Pugil?
like pugilist. That.
No, like pugils, like the fighting thing that look like basically like giant Q-tips that like the American gladiators would all
Oh,
this.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Tyson's from the pugil generation, and one of the reasons that it's really important for fighters to train with pugils is because you don't get to it is your whole body. It is your shoulder, it's your hip, it's your leg. Everything, like your body is constantly moving like that.
Mm.
That is the Tyson boxing generation. They like he when you watch Tyson, when you watch him move, everything is moving all at the exact same time. Constantly. He knows what he's doing. Jake Paul, he gets in there. He's got power. He does not have Tyson power. And he does not have Tyson skills. Tyson does not, he was not just a powerhouse that stood there and took hits and delivered
Yeah.
powerhouse hits. He moved.
Yeah, no,
He
I mean that's the thing
was.
is
Yeah.
I remember hearing stories about, like, the people who would basically throw a fight against Tyson because Tyson would get one hit in on them,
And they
and
would want more.
they
Yeah.
would go, if I take one more, I'm gonna die. And they would just drop to the ground and go, 10 count, I'm out. I'm not letting this guy hit me again because he'll fucking kill me. Like, I
And these are
remember.
trained boxers. These are like these were pros. These were
Yeah.
heavyweights. These were guys like supposedly at his level, but Mike was his own level.
Yep.
Like
No, like I
that's why
said,
in
like
the '90s,
I was
everybody want to
never.
be like Mike, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson. Like
Yep.
Mike's ran the '90s.
Myself, not a fan of boxing, but I know the Mike Tyson story because of that was how beyond the pale he was.
And he's 58. He's gonna be 58 when that fight hits. And Jake Paul,
So
he's a
he's
little younger than me, I think.
58. My God, he's practically still in his prime. This kid's dead.
58 is not old. Not
Yeah,
when you're still training. If you don't
this.
stop, like
Oh man, I'm feeling sorry for this kid.
I'm not. I'm kind of with you, but at the same time, I've watched how cocky he is. Like, it's not. Hey, I want to test my skills. I want to get in there. I want to do this thing. And Mike is the greatest. I
This
want.
is
I,
yeah.
I want
See,
to test myself against the greatest. No,
sure,
he's
Mount
being a
Everest.
cocky little shit, and I
Wow.
want him to really eat those words. However, if he winds up taking out Tyson, I'm
It
gonna
would be an
have
upset.
to give him some respect.
I guess
Some.
we'll find out. I imagine it'll be trending somewhere when it happens. I mean, I have no plans to watch the fight, but I
Oh,
figure I'll
I'm hoping to see it in person.
yeah, okay. Well, then you can let me know how it goes.
I won't. That'll probably be all I talk about that week. Like I said, dude, at that time, I was in the ring.
Yeah.
I was a boxer when Tyson was going. I sparred with Virgil Hill. I sparred with Billy the Kid Johnson. And they were like I didn't actually spar with them. It was like for publicity. My trainer also trained Virgil Hill. Do you remember when I went to North Dakota to present that music award?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Virgil Hill, he was there, and I talked to him, and at that point, it was 13 years prior that he and I had the sparring match at Calavera's gym, and I told him about that, and
I'm suddenly remembering that now because when you mentioned it
yeah.
before and you said like Virgil Hill, I remember going like, now there's a name I recognize. How could I possibly know a third name in boxing? That's weird. But now I remember it's because you came back from South Dakota and were like, I was hanging out with Virgil Hill. Like you were
I
going
was
off
so
about it.
excited for it. I
Yeah.
was so happy about that. But the reason why I was really excited for it is because when I was telling him the story, because I full on was expecting like, man, I've had a lot of life. I've been around. I've done a lot of things and stuff like that. I started the story. He finished it. That
Nice.
they say don't meet your heroes, and that was kind of one of those things because when I boxed Virgil Hill when I was a kid, I really looked up to him. And
Hmm.
then I didn't really consider him a hero or anything like that. But after I met him as like when I was an adult and sitting down and like actually talking to him, he like became one.
Hmm.
Like I knew he was awesome. I knew he was badass. I knew he was a terrific boxer. As a man, just as a man, Virgil Hill is a damn good man. And his wife, I am such a piece of shit for not remembering her name. But my God, she was so cool. She was so nice. She was amazing. I'm gonna look up her name because it's very disrespectful. I don't know why I can't find this, but
She's either an Olympic runner or a swimmer, one of the two.
that's what I was told. And
Okay.
but her name is Carla Hill. That is Virgil Hill's wife, and I would like to sing a little bit of her praise because she was a wonderful person. Did you notice that I shaved my head this week?
Yes.
I
I
was
noticed
curious.
it. Well, you called me last night, and I was my
At the
first thought.
worst time.
Yes, bad timing. But still, the thing is that you come on screen, you FaceTime me, and you come on screen, and I see it, and my first thought is he okay? Because that's a drastic drift to go from the long hair to shaven. That's usually like when Britney Spears
Crisis.
did that, it was on the news, and but you were already going a mile a minute about Freeway, and I didn't want to interrupt you, so
That's
I
fair.
just did.
No, the whole point for me growing my hair out,
Mhm.
I know I talked about this because I've wanted to do this forever. One of my bucket list items has always been donating my hair. I always wanted to
Oh,
do that.
okay, yes, yeah, I did that once.
Doesn't it, dude? It feel, oh man, it feels so good. Like
It was not.
every time I think about it, I feel just stupid happy and just like
Mhm.
it's how
Somewhere
long?
out
Yeah,
there, there's some kid or something who's going through the chemo and like, yeah, and then they get the wig made of your hair, and they feel like themselves again for the first time in forever. And
and that's the thing.
yeah,
I had really nice long hair. Like I got good hair, so that was always like the main thing. Like I always wanted to donate it because I got so many compliments on it, and I never gave a shit.
mm.
So I always wanted to put it in somebody else's hands, and I feel,
So
dude, it
let me
feels
ask you
good.
something. And I've had this theory because I like I said, I did it one time. Um, and it was like even longer than this. I think I had it down like the middle of my back.
Holy crap!
But then I just gotten a job at a hotel, and it was a fancy hotel, and they were like, you got the job, you start on Monday. I hate to tell you this, but you got to get a haircut. And so I was like, all right, fine, that's fine. Because the only reason that I wasn't growing my hair out as a statement. I was growing my hair out because I hate getting haircuts. Just that was it. And that
That was like a 3 year break from only getting a haircut when things were like
right,
I saved so much money. Like
right, yeah, it's crazy. But
yeah,
so let me ask you. So when I finally did go do it, and and basically it wasn't even like my idea. Like when I went in to go get the haircut, the guy at the that was doing my haircut, he was the one who said like you got a lot here. Do you want to donate it? And I was kind of wishy-washy about it. I don't know why. It's not like I haven't. I've been donating blood for years. Why would I be iffy about donating my hair? I don't know, but I was just kind of like, I think I was just unhappy that I was getting a haircut. I think it's just mainly what it was, and I was like,
okay, I
I
can.
don't know. Um, so I always had this theory that what happened next was not necessary. That maybe he was just kind of humiliating me a little bit. But before he cut the hair off, in order to make the donation, he put them up in two big ponytails, so I looked like a giant girl, and and he let my friends take pictures of me like that. So I asked, did they do that to you, or was that just me? Okay, good, good, good. All right, it wasn't just. You look great, by the way. You look great.
No, I had my hair up. It was two pigtails, one here, and then two back here, one here and one here. And yep, that was
Okay.
I there were only three other people in the barber shop when this was happening. And as soon as she put them up and turned me around to look in the mirror, I was laughing so hard. I was calling myself Pippi Longstockings. I was having the most fun in that situation because unlike what you when you were in that situation,
Mhm.
I last December I went in and be like, "Hey, is it long enough yet?" My barber for years has known that this is what I'm doing.
Okay.
So when I went in December, I had it tested out and all that. I was like, I came in to get a haircut today. Like, can I at least get shaved? Like, come on, like, because there was nothing to do. So I had to wait until all the way up until this week, and then when I went in today or this week, I still wasn't positive. I was pretty sure, but I wasn't positive. So when she told me that it was definitely the right length,
Mhm.
man, I was over the damn moon. And no, like it's not even with the wig people yet. Like it's still in the envelope. It needs to go to the post office. Like all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
Um, I was surprised that I was the one who had to send it in. I kind of figured the barbershop would do that.
I remember thinking that when I think my barber actually did do it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, well, and that's probably why about like it was like 2 months later, I actually got a thank you card from Locks of Love, and they
Oh, yes. Some
and
people did say that they've been getting that they got
yeah,
letters. They did, yeah.
and they misspelled my name. So my charity is not officially on record. It's
They're definitely gonna misspell my name. There's no way. I mean, there's no E in my first name, and my name is Bradley. Like that, it gets misspelled.
sure, yeah, yep.
But uh, what has had me laughing all week, and I'm gonna be incredibly surprised if you know this band. I look like the lead singer from Alien Ant Farm.
I have never seen that band, but I know of them.
Check a picture.
Okay, all right. If you shaved your beard off, yeah, you'd look exactly like them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's because the like where my hair parted for the first couple days, it
yeah.
like the part was still there, so there was that line going all the way back. I almost had the exact same haircut as the dude from Alien Ant Farm, and it was cracking me up. I've had Smooth Criminal stuck in my head all week.
Best version of that song too.
Arguable.
Really?
Very
What
arguable.
do? Which, by the way, just as an offside, and again, I'm not leaning on my heritage, but apparently, according to my parents, my family does come from the same clan as Sir William Wallace. Since we
Way
brought
to
it up,
bring that up. Way to bring that in. Look, I didn't
I'm
want
not
to bring
saying I'm
it
a descendant.
up or anything.
I'm not saying I'm a descendant of the great freedom fighter Sir William Wallace. I'm saying that same clan. There is about 3 generations in. I've got like a great grandmother whose last name was Wallace.
For that level of reference, I actually have a bit of a connection to an American war hero, Colonel
Before we get into
David.
that, actually, I do have another bit of interesting trivia. That same family, because that's the thing is like my mother's side of the family is basically one big European mutt,
Mhm.
which is probably another reason why I'm like fuck heritage because I have all of them. But
Which
the
basically
interesting
makes
thing,
you Irish.
right? But apparently also I am also technically a member of the McCoy clan as well, of the Hatfields and McCoys, which is I only find amusing because I lived in Portland with like half the buildings are named after Hatfields. So
Okay, I'll give you that one.
I always found that amusing to be a guy born and raised living in the city of Hatfields when I myself am apparently a McCoy. That kind of maybe colored my life a little bit, you know.
Maybe I could see.
Yeah.
I could see that. Uh, my great uncle was Colonel David H. Hackworth, the most highly decorated officer in the history of all four branches of the U.S. military, dating all the way back to the Civil War,
Ooh.
until a Marine beat him a few years ago. But he was so highly decorated that his tombstone, the amount of awards, actually go into the grass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was multiple Purple Hearts. When I read his book about Face, there is a moment in there where he's in the Vietnam War, and a lot of soldiers at that time would wear their helmets backwards because it was more comfortable in the way that it fit. Well, he got shot in the head, and it went in one side, ricocheted around, and popped out the other. And what also, but what that is just crazy. But what I really like about him, and this is how I know that I am a Hackworth in much more than just name. He'd been in a fight for a couple days, and he took his seat ration and he ripped the top off, and he had just scraped the grease from the top, and he was about to start eating. Somebody shot the meal out of his hand. So at that moment, he was so fucking pissed off.
That's not war. That's just a dick move.
So at that moment, he went behind enemy lines and he went up and he took out that sniper by himself because he took out his fucking food.
They say all's fair in love and war. That is not. That is I don't care. That is not shooting the meal out of a dude's hand. That is a war crime. I'm sorry. Not cool. Not cool at all, bro.
I read that and I kind of sat back and I went,
We all get it. We all get it.
family,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you. He died. like the year before I joined the military, and I I had people ask me if I was related to him, but I didn't have that answer. But after I got out of the military, my aunt told me that I am related to him. So
Hmm.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That is like the one person throughout all of history that I'm related to. That's I think that I'm aware of that is any kind of interesting.
Okay.
But he is interesting.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read About Face in over 20 years. That wouldn't be a bad book to go pick up again.
I'd say the most interesting. Let me think if there's any. Like there was one. It wasn't like a historical figure. There was a historical event that my family was involved in uh,
And what's that?
during the. Well, I mean, I don't know if it really counts. So apparently, once upon a time, my family were Mormons, and when the one of yeah, bear with me here. Just bear with me here.
I just the sheer enjoyment that I get out of imagining you as a Mormon is fucking crazy.
Well, this story ends in bloodshed, so get ready. there's a
Oh,
reason. There's
so
a
it makes
reason why
sense.
we're yeah. There's a reason why we're not Mormons. And not only are we not Mormons anymore, but my family, no member of my family ever passes up an opportunity to talk shit about Mormons. Okay, so there is, you know,
There's a story here. All right.
yeah. So this was back in the Wild West days, settler days. Um, I'm trying to remember all the details here. I remember I learned about it because there was a magazine article written about it in like 1901. And my mother had tracked down that magazine and got a copy of it. And while we were road tripping across country once, she made me read the article from this 1901 magazine out loud to her as we were driving. And that's the only reason I know this story. And I was like maybe I want to say like 10 years old at the time, 9 or 10 years old at the time. So it's a little bit of a fuzzy memory.
Hmm.
I, I bet my mom still has the magazine. I could probably get her to pull it out for me. But so apparently, while there was a big movement, there was a bunch of Mormons that were getting together to make a big push west. I think Salt Lake City was already established at this point. I think that might have been where they were going. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was a giant caravan of Mormons all pushing west to join the bigger Mormon colony out west. And it was not an easy journey. It was kind of a rough journey. Things got a little heated, and there
Well, how?
was there was there was a break off. Basically, what happened? There was one high member of the group who started to get into very heated disagreements with another high member of the group, and eventually it led to an actual faction break off. This caravan of Mormons literally split in two, one continuing on to join up with the rest of the Mormons, the other essentially going their own direction to essentially start a whole new religion where this new guy was essentially Jesus now. That's what it came down to, is that this guy became this guy was claiming to literally like be hearing voices from God and telling him that we couldn't go further west, we had to settle over here. And so this faction breakoff was between the people who were following the original plan and the people who were following this guy who was now claiming to be the new prophet to go settle somewhere else.
Right.
My family was in the group that broke off to go join the new cult. My family were cult hoppers, apparently. We were just going from one cult to another, whichever was the newest, shiniest one. So, but what
Okay.
happened was, is while we're camped out essentially in the desert, trying to figure out what to do, and we're running out of food, running out of water, not really sure what to have happen. The dude who we've been following is basically been in his tent, quote unquote, meditating, waiting for a message from God this whole time. Things are getting a little tense. As we're all waiting for that to happen, the fucking cavalry show up. because apparently the local cavalry in that area was run by a devout Mormon. And when the caravan of Mormons showed up with only half the people as expected, they told them what was up. And so the cavalry shows up to basically tell the breakaways, get your asses back home. This isn't cool. And we refused. And so they opened fire with
Sounds
cannons.
like the cavalry.
Yeah. As the
Very
story goes,
very very religious, very
yes.
pious.
Oh,
Either
yes.
you believe what we believe, or you
Turn the other
die.
cheek. Yeah. Turn the other cheek and love thy neighbor, all that. Yep.
Yep.
As the story goes, apparently, as the story goes, my great, I think that's all of them, great grandmother, at the time she was 15 years old while this is going on, and she is in the tent with the meditating leader when the very first shot from the cavalry, which was unexpected by anyone, we thought we had time to think about it and negotiate, but they basically decided they were done waiting and they just opened fire. Apparently, that first shot came through the tent and hit my great grandmother square in the face. She did not die. I have seen photographs of this woman. She has no chin. If you know what a human being with no chin looks like,
Yeah, most people my age have seen the cowboy that had mouth cancer from chewing tobacco video.
yep.
Like we
And
all saw that in high school. Yeah.
I had a great grandmother who had that same thing because when she was 15 years old, she took a cavalry cannonball to the face and lived. And that was like the general, you know, most everyone slaughtered and killed. Some people dragged back to the Mormon church, others scattered to the wind. My great grandmother was one of the ones scattered to the wind.
Yeah,
And
pretty much the only thing I have against
yeah,
Mormons is that they used to like three different Mormon families at different points in my life would like invite me over for dinner and then just kind of like I don't want to say they mock how I thought, but it was like I was an alien that they were having over for like anthropological studying.
right, yes.
I felt like I was under a microscope in a very very weird way.
I remember my mother telling me about how
And
she
that's three
literally.
different and that's three different things. That's three different
Oh
events.
yeah,
Like
I
it wasn't
remember.
the same family. It was weird. Like that's like the only thing I have with Mormons though is every time I'm around them I feel like I'm under a microscope. I feel like I'm an anthropological study.
Yep, no, that makes sense. Oh, I remember my mother telling me about how for her rebellious phase, she decided to make friends with a Mormon. Like that, like that's
Hell
literally.
of a rebellion.
Yeah, it's literally how deep the family's resentment
Oh, well, sure.
goes.
Yeah. Okay.
That
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for her, for some, we're talking about a farm girl in the '60s. While most of her friends were rebelling by dating black men, she was rebelling by making friends with a Mormon. So, um, but yeah, I know it. I've tried to explain my family and I can't.
Rebel light.
um, but she did tell me about how she tried to do that. She tried to like show that it can be done, that old wounds can heal and so on and so forth, and she made an effort to be friends, and it worked. This Mormon friend of hers, they really hit it off great. They were close friends, and then out of nowhere the friend says to her, I really, it's really great, you are a good person. I appreciate what a good person you are, and it really just is a shame you're not getting into heaven. Because I mean, how many nights did we spend standing outside the movie theater talking about the movie we just saw?
True, especially over at the Baghdad.
Yep, the Baghdad or the Academy or any place like that. Like the ones that had the bar right next door made it way too easy.
I have a really fun memory of when we went to go see Avengers: Age of Ultron over at Baghdad. You remember that?
I think so.
You had to have been with us, and if you were, you will remember this. But as we were sitting there, like we were right up on the balcony,
Mhm.
like right in the center, and I feel like I was dead center on the theater for this one.
Right.
And as we were getting to the end, I actually got there. I got to the edge of my seat because Captain America's my dude, and like I was so happy about this. And so he gets to the end, he's walking up, and he's like, "Avengers," and I was like, "Oh!" And it cuts to black, and all you heard was just me in this totally black theater just go, I just remember the whole theater started laughing, and I just buried my head into my hands.
Because you were speaking for all of us. We have been waiting for someone
Yep.
to say Avengers Assemble for like 6 movies now, and we still weren't getting it. We didn't get it until movie number 22.
Was it? Oh my god! Yeah.
When he says it
But
in
when he
Endgame
said
is the
that in
first time it's
Endgame, it was
said.
perfect.
Yes, it was.
Oh, Endgame. Fan service.
In every best way.
Yep, fan service. The movie. I
Yeah.
loved Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. I will say though, I do understand Scorsese saying that it's not cinema. The MCU is the most expensive,
Mhm.
grandest television show that has ever been made. It is the first
No,
theatrical TV show.
I agree with that, and especially when you take it. Yeah, I mean, it was a those first 22 movies leading up to Endgame. It very much was a 22 episode TV series with a 2-part finale. Very much so.
But the challenge of cinema, and I do understand where Scorsese's coming from with this, is you
Mhm.
go into the theater, you don't know shit, and you come out of the theater with a complete and total story. That is not the MCU.
That is true. I I disagree with him. Well, I mean, I guess I kind of do
It's
and I kind of
modern
don't.
cinema. It's not
Yeah.
his. It's not where, like, when he went to film school, you did not go to film school to make this. This is
No, that's
what
true.
happened.
And that definitely there is when it comes to film theory, there's a lot of stress on making sure that you tell your story entirely in a story. If you have a movie about llamas, you can't assume that only people who have studied llamas their whole lives are going to come and see it. You need to be
Right.
able to tell your audience what they need to know about llamas, in the movie. That is true. He is correct. Um, I think it's a little see here's the thing that's kind of gotten to me lately, and I suppose this is because I've spent so much time on something like TikTok or something like that. I'm hearing a lot, and this is not a new thing, of people talking about like what is art. And I understand that that's not what Scorsese was doing. Scorsese wasn't trying to say that Marvel isn't art. I get that,
Hmm.
but I think I'm a little bit kind of taking a bit of an issue with anybody who says that's not that. I still remember when I was a kid listening to Primus and my parents telling me that's not music. I mean, come on. Um, I'm still remembering when YouTube was first a thing and everyone saying that's not real entertainment. We still have people referring to anyone who does anything like this. We're called content creators. We can't be called comedians or writers or actors or entertainers or hosts or anything like that we because the people who are doing that on like a studio network basis don't want us to be
Yeah.
grouped in with them. Um,
Well, they can
and
kiss my ass because I
right,
don't need your permission to be a host. It is what we're doing.
right, exactly. Um, and I think probably the main thing is like I take a look at that and I think to myself, like, the piano. Take for instance the piano. Quite possibly
The silent
the
film?
no no the actual musical instrument, the piano.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm thinking the pianist. Sorry.
No. Yeah. Well, there was a movie called The Piano, but that's not what I'm talking about either. Um, the piano is
Was that
probably
the
the
silent movie, the black and white, the one that was made in like 2011?
no. I think you're thinking of The Entertainer.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, but it is the musical instrument. The piano is probably the single most common, most popular musical instrument, maybe next to the guitar. Like if anybody who wants to learn music, usually the first place they start is the piano. Um, the piano was only invented 300 years ago. Next to the electric guitar, it is one of the youngest musical instruments in existence. There was definitely a
Makes
period of
sense.
time. There was definitely a period of time in which people were saying piano isn't real music.
I was thinking The Artist, 2011 film, The Artist.
Ah, okay. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes, that was nominated for it won an Academy Award, didn't it?
Let's see, where is the award section of IMDb? I know it's like, oh, won 5 Oscars, 162 wins, and 204 nominations. I
Probably
haven't
should see
seen this
that.
movie. I should
Yeah,
probably go watch that.
yeah, same here. That's what I'm thinking. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my point. Is that art is constantly evolving. Every generation comes up with a new way of making art, and there's always going to be some old generation fuddy-duddy who wants to sit there and say that's not real art because in their mind it's easier to do than the one they
Well,
busted
what?
their ass doing. You
Last
know,
week we were talking about Robert Duvall telling a story about Picasso. That is like Picasso is legendary to our
right?
generation, and even to Generation X, Picasso was legendary. But boomers, they thought he was a fucking joke.
Hmm.
Like, and that's not
Because
even that old.
the dude was able to pay for a $10,000 meal bill with a couple of doodles of a because he was the he was the Jake Paul of his generation, basically.
Jake Paul, the boxer?
Who am I thinking of? A YouTuber that was a big name for a while ago. My kids couldn't stop talking about him. Hooking up. That to me, I remember, not at the last Olympics, but maybe like the Olympics before, when all the news coverage was happening on it and stuff like that. I remember seeing some report where they were talking about, the especially grand challenge of Olympic Village, where they've got to have all the Olympiads
Oh,
staying and
I
stuff like that.
remember that.
And someone was talking about how like one of the biggest challenges is keeping them from turning it into basically a big fuck fest.
Hmm.
And I remember hearing that and thinking to myself, why in God's name would you want to stop that? We are literally talking about Olympiads, literal, actual human perfection from every corner of the world. Why would anyone, what kind of psychopath would you have to be
That's
to
like that,
try
that,
and
that
stop that?
that's like stopping the premise of the movie Twins.
Like I it was like like I like and I remember too, like because I can't remember if I was hearing it on the radio or what, but they're sitting there talking about like, yeah, no, it's real troublesome. They're always sneaking out at night, and you really got to be vigilant and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you are wasting your life. You are complaining about the thing someone should not be doing. You should be sleep. If there's anyone who has to be sleeping on the job for the good of mankind, it's the poor sap who's on fuck duty at Olympic Village.
What a
Close your
terrible
eyes.
job description.
Yeah, turn the other way. Close your eyes. Let nature take its course. For the love of God.
I'm all the way with you though. There's the fact that they're not allowed to have that is dumb. That is dumb
Yeah,
dumb. It's not like
I
you're gonna
I
get pregnant during the Olympics and not be able to compete tomorrow.
I know, right? I mean, what is there?
What's
I
the
honestly
reasoning
think
behind that? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it's twofold in my opinion. First of all, it's your basic Judeo-Christian bullshit that sex is bad and we just got to prevent it from happening anywhere. I think that's the major primary motivation.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a little bit too
sec
common to not have that as a
secondly,
theory.
Secondly, I genuinely, honestly think there's racism involved. I honestly think that there are, especially like the Russian government certainly does not want any half Arab or half African babies coming out of their Olympic heroes.
Yeah, they were very not cool with Armenians.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm
yeah.
sure the Russians are not the only ones who feel that way. I'm sure some of the Arab countries probably feel the same way about Caucasians and Asians too. I think it's just your general.
You
We
know
don't
what?
want.
Speaking of Caucasians and Asians,
Mhm.
why the fuck is it Caucasian?
Well, I don't know.
Why is it not Caucasian? It's from the Caucasus Mountains. It's literally pronounced that way, and we are not Asian in any fucking way.
I was not there for that meeting. I don't know.
But also, my point kind of on that is a weird point, sure. But if white people were called Caucasian and not Caucasian, I bet they'd have less of a problem being identified as Caucasian.
They might. That is weird.
We're not
Wait,
Asian in any way.
are there white people that have a problem with being called Caucasian?
Cock, Asian. Many white people have a problem being called that.
I never ever even thought about it.
You've never had a comedian, you've never had anybody like go off on that or anything like never?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. Literally the first time I've ever heard that.
I am astounded. I'm quite a bit astounded because like I've had people like I'm not Caucasian, I'm white. Like that like they don't want to be identified as anything that has to do with cock. One. And two, they're not Asian. And they're like there are a lot of white people that just they're racist against Asian. They don't want to be called Asian.
I guess, yeah, that is. I never really, yeah, I guess I never
But
put that
there's
together.
also the direct point that the name Caucasian is derived from the Caucasus Mountains. It should not be Caucasian, it should be Caucasian.
Hmm. Interesting.
My own little personal whatever I
Yeah.
just a thought, yeah.
I literally have no dog in this fight. I have always been of the
Mm.
opinion, and granted, this is basically, I feel this way mostly just for white people. Okay, um, I you know I have always felt that someone who leans on their heritage do that because they have nothing to show for their own life. Granted, I am going to say that the caveat to that, of course, is people in America who are of racial minorities that have been disenfranchised. There is a reason to need to stand up and say that you have no reason to be ashamed for being that race. Uh, but
For
but like, and that probably has mainly to do with like a lot of the what's an example? I remember a friend of my cousin's a few years back. I knew this guy for a grand total of one day. I was hanging out with my cousin. He was a friend of my cousin's. We were all hanging out. So I knew this guy for one day. But for that one day, I will never forget him because this motherfucker would not shut up about his Scottish heritage. Like he wedged that into the conversation 1,000 times into a day. And I swear to fucking God, I was just sitting there going like, you are about as Scottish as I am, motherfucker. Like, why do you keep bringing it up? You keep talking about like how you come from the great Scottish warrior clan. I'm like, motherfucker, you're from Idaho. You have you have zero connection to the Scottish people. You have
I
no clue
will say
of their
this.
heritage.
When I was growing up, people would ask me all the fucking time what I was mixed with.
Huh.
Italian, Arab, I like everything. And when I left there, not anymore. When I left, I was white. That was something that I had to get used to. And so
Interesting.
I do kind of understand that. So when everybody was asking me, "What are you?" I got curious. And before DNA testing or like genetics testing, all that stuff,
Right.
to find all that out, I was just genuinely curious because I would look at Arab people's noses and be like, are we? No. I'd look at Irish people's eyebrows and be like,
Mm,
yeah, okay. Like, I was
right.
constantly trying to figure out what I was because I was being asked that question all the time.
Well, that's the thing is like, and I've talked about this before. Stephen King's It. You know, have you
Which
ever
one?
read the? Well, let's.
Oh, no. That scene in that section
So
in the
yeah,
book? I
yes.
know, I
That
know.
will never ever appear in any film adaptation ever. Yeah. Here's the thing.
The fuck was
I
going on in
read.
Stephen King's mind when he wrote that?
That's what I'd like to know. According to him, I
Should
think
we
people.
actually explain what it is?
Do you want to? I don't know. I don't know if I want to say that shit out loud.
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to have those words strung
Yeah.
together on the channel.
If you know, you know. I guess.
There you go. That's a good way
Yeah.
to put it.
And from what I hear, King has been asked about it once, and his explanation was that he was high on cocaine at the time and does not remember writing it.
That is the best explanation that he could possibly think of, and it's probably bullshit. But there's nothing else I would ever say if I ever did that.
Well, here's what I don't understand is how many rounds of editors this thing went through, and still,
That's the other fucking thing. You weren't on cocaine for months.
yeah. And to top it off,
Well, I
this
mean,
was
it was the '80s. He probably was.
yeah. But I mean, publishers, editors, and to top it off, reviewers. This was a Stephen King book. People read this book to write about it in newspapers. No one brought it up. Like no one said like, okay, yeah, it's another Stephen King book. It's got all the usual stuff in it, but there's this one part. Holy shit, Steve, are you okay? Like none of the
Probably
book
because
reviews on this.
everybody back then is having the same issue that you and I are having right now. We're talking about it, and we don't even want to say what the hell we're talking about.
Probably true. Yes, probably true.
Who wanted to be the reporter that had that on their newspaper?
But here, okay, so here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy. It's like, yes, now as an adult, I can think objectively about this. But when I first read that book, the first time I read it, I was 12 years old.
Oh, so you were actually kind of an appropriate age for that scene.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there going like, yeah,
There is.
awesome. And the crazy thing about it is the reason why I was reading that book at 12 years old was because my 17-year-old stepsister gave it to me to read.
The fuck, man?
Because it's like Stephen King was like, getting big. Pet Cemetery who had just come out, and and it's like
Yeah.
I was getting into that, and then
Pet
and I'm
Sematary
not
was
kidding.
awesome.
Out of all like, and my stepsister was a big fan, had a
So
bunch
you
of his books.
read horror, but you don't watch horror. Is there a reason that works for you?
I have no idea. I don't get scared in the books.
Dude, oh, you and I are way different. So, because I have such a cinematic imagination,
Hmm.
when I read a book, it's worse than the movie. It's
Wow.
way
Okay.
worse than the movie. Like when I read Jurassic Park, I'm very happy that the movie exists because it helps me paint the book.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Helps
just
feed into it. Yeah.
just my own tangent on Jurassic Park. There's only one good Jurassic Park movie. It's the first one,
Okay. Yeah.
and
I'm on board with that.
the second one, they had a gymnast teenager defeat a raptor with gymnastics.
I don't even remember that.
Not okay, man.
I can't.
How do you
100%.
go from that to that? What the?
I can't even 100% for sure say that I saw the second one. I can't imagine why I wouldn't have, but I don't remember anything about it.
I saw
I know-
Jurassic.
I
I saw
know
the
I
second
didn't see the
Jurassic
third.
Park on a double feature movie night, and the other movie, Super Mario Brothers.
Good Lord, man.
It was not a great night.
No, I can't imagine so. Jesus. Good Lord.
It was really rough. But that was the first day that I played Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
I remember that
all right.
day really. I remember that day really weird, like weirdly strong.
Was it like a birthday party or something?
Nope, just hanging out at. It was the first day I played Mortal Kombat. and
That'll get you. Yeah,
that was an era-defining game. It really it
it really
changed
was.
it changed everything. And that movie, dude, we gotta cover that movie at some point.
Yep.
I need
Well,
I need to I now I need to go watch that movie and think and look at Goro with Kevin Michael Richardson in my mind. I need to see how that works.
Can I tell a story for the audience?
What?
That's tangentially connected to Mortal Kombat. Back in the day, before YouTube was a thing, we had what was called cable access. If you want to know more about cable access, you need to watch the movie Wayne's World. That'll tell you everything you need to know. But
Mm,
it's okay.
go to the check it out cam. Or the get a load of this guy cam.
You can get a load of this guy, Cam. That was the good one. Yeah.
Your story. Go.
So me and my friends, we were much like kids today. We love to make our goofy stuff, and our outlet was cable access. And we decided to get it in our heads after the Mortal Kombat movie came out. We went and saw it all together because we were all those kind of nerds. There was like 8 of us, and before the movie was even over, like we were halfway through this movie when we're turning to each other and we're going, we are going to make a parody version of this movie for cable access.
Oh, I wish I had those friends. Like, but
Yeah.
my friends, what we did is we didn't like no camera. We just beat the shit out of each other afterwards and acted like we were the characters. That's
Right. Yeah. So and even back then I was the script writer, so I had to go home and like write the joke, and then it also meant that the day that it was being the time that it also meant that I had to return to the movie theater every weekend for 2 months to watch this movie over and over again, so I could
what
keep
a
refining my
bummer.
script. I know, I was so upset by it. You can tell I'm scarred. I saw the Mortal Kombat movie in the theater 8 times, and it is one of the greater moments. And it's when I think to myself, God, I miss being young. One of the things I miss is being able to go see Mortal Kombat in the theater 8 times.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll never forget seeing that movie in theaters. It was amazing.
so we get it. I finished the script, and we gathered together our cabal of wacky, we weren't called theater nerds back then. They didn't have a name for us. We were just those dorks. And we started filming, and I am also the only stuntman, which I was okay with, because
You get to have the most fun.
right, and chicks dig a stuntman. Um, so we were not at all safe about it. Like there was a scene, like we literally went down to Goodwill and bought furniture for me to crash into. None of this was breakaway. This was actual furniture that I
With
actually
real
bodily
springs and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Made of actual sturdy wood, things that were built to last. And I would
No,
run
now
head
you can
full.
basically use IKEA furniture as stunt shit.
Yeah. But so we're filming our introductory scene to Sonya Blade, and we have cast a foreign exchange student. Her name was Ricky, but she was from Denmark. She looked the most like Sonya Blade as anyone else in our school. She was very blonde. She was very busty, and she was excited to be a part of this.
Which,
And
by the
so,
way to describe that, when I was talking about how white the people are where I come from,
yeah. Oh, that was them. Yeah, very very
well, North
Danish.
Dakota, very
Yeah.
Norwegian area. Yeah.
Okay. So my partner in crime in this is this kid named Chris, and he's taken on director mode on this. He also cast himself as Johnny Cage, but he's not in this scene. So he's just kind of hanging out. Him and this other kid who are doing the camera. and so we're working out the stunts, and so it's like, okay, so we're gonna have Sonya come in, and she's gonna kick a bunch of people's ass. How are we gonna do this? And we're basically figuring out how we're gonna film Sonya kicking my ass 3 different times as 3 different characters because I'm the only stuntman. And so we're working out the first one here, and I go, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have her come in, and I'm gonna be sitting in this chair like this, but I'm gonna sit forward a little bit, and so she can kick the underside of the chair, and I'll double over like she just kicked me in the balls. That'll be our first stunt. And Chris is like, oh, that's brilliant. Okay. And he goes, Ricky, come over here. And she comes over, and she's like, yeah, what's up? And he goes, okay, so in this scene, you're going to kick Doc in the balls. And she goes like this and kicks me in the balls right there. And I crumple to the floor in pain. And Chris doesn't even miss a beat, immediately turns to the camera kid and goes, did you get that?
Well, at that time, you guys were trying to meet Bob Saget, I'm sure.
And the camera kid goes, you didn't say action.
So is that your story of why you always keep the camera rolling?
That is why when we were on set, I told the cameraman to even when I say cut, do not turn the camera off. Never, ever turn. The camera is always rolling because you never know if someone's going to be badly hurt, and you need to make sure you get it on tape. Because that may be your best stunt, and you're not gonna want to lose it.
That is a good reason, man. That really is a good reason.
It's a literal complex that I have now.
That is fair.
You got anything comparable? Do you got any stories about how you developed a complex on set? Maybe next time we got to tell the story about how you and I met on set.
That would be a good one. So, yes.
Yeah. All
My
right.
very first day on a professional set, I was working on the Leverage. And Jonathan Frakes, Commander Riker from Star Trek The Next Generation, he was directing that episode. And I was unbelievably fascinated. I did not know any of the rules, so I did not know what to do, where to go, anything like that. I just showed up for my very first day of just being an extra because I just wanted to see what the professional set looked like. I wanted to see what the pros did. So
nice, yeah.
They told everybody to clear the set. Okay, no. They pair me up with Lindsay McCormick. Now, I don't know if you know who that is, but she was the sideline reporter for the Portland Blazers.
Okay.
So my first gig, I'm sitting there, I'm hanging out with the sideline reporter. They're like, okay, you guys are a couple. And me, yay, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is great. I love Hollywood.
Right.
We go into this room and we're setting everything up and all that. And then they tell all the extras to leave. They need to clear the set and do this. Me, being me, I jump behind one of the set pieces and I duck down to hide so I can spy on the whole production and I can see what's happening when the extras aren't supposed to be there.
You bad boy.
I didn't give a shit, dude. It was my first day and I'm like, if I get busted, nobody knows who the hell I am. I can just say I give a fake name. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
I didn't care. I was in. I was there. I was in for it. And Frakes is wandering around. He's looking around. And I'm just kind of looking. I was like, what was going on with Commander Riker? And he pops his head out and he looks at the extras and he comes back in. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe I'm missing something really cool. I should be there. Like, damn. And then all of a sudden he goes, where's that handsome little reporter guy? And I poke my head out from the set that I'm not supposed to be behind. And I just poke out and I'm like, me? And he just starts laughing. He's like, yeah, you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best day.
Wow.
Commander fucking Riker called me handsome? That's a good day.
Yeah.
So we go back into the scene and I go back out into the hallway and we're doing the actions, and me and Lindsay McCormick were supposed to be walking past this door, and they tell like, okay, you go, and now you go, and so they split us up, and I got confused because it's whatever, you know. I didn't know, but when they told us that we were like a couple, I was like, oh shit, like, are we both supposed to go or like that? So basically, I just was stupid, and they cut the scene, and one of the makeup artists saw what I did, and she decided to have some fun. So she comes over, and now I, on that day, was handsome little reporter guy. Now this makeup artist came up to like here on me, so she was itty bitty bitty bitty, and she comes up and she's like, "You fucked that take up. You know, you're the reason we have to go back and do that again." She knew I had no idea what the fuck was going on, so I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. She's like, "Yeah, it's your fault. Yeah, what's your name?" I'm like, it's Brad. She's like, "That's not your real name. That's your stripper name." And I'm like, no, it's not. No. And then Aldous Hodge. I know you know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Aldous, he sees that the makeup artist is fucking with me, and he knows that she's not like aligned. She's not a producer. She's not a director. She's the makeup artist. So he knows that she's off having fun with one of the extras and fucking with one of the extras. So he comes over. Aldous Hodge, tall dude. He
Way
comes
there,
over,
yep.
super buff, super tall, and he just puts his hands on his hips and he goes into like, "What's going on here?" kind of voice, everything like that. And I'm standing there, I'm just like, and I'm panicked. I'm like, shit! Because you know that I love Supernatural.
Oh, yes.
Aldous Hodge, season 2 finale. He's the main guy in.
Oh, I did not remember that. I've
play-
only known him from Leverage in my head.
Yeah, he plays Jake. He's the black kid who comes. Obviously, he's the black kid who from Afghanistan who Yellow Eyes takes, and then he puts him in that place in South Dakota.
Yeah, okay. Nice.
That's Aldous Hodge. So that's where I knew him from, and I was really excited because I like, just watched that episode like a few days before or something. Like I was excited. So he comes over. He's, "What's going on over here?" And then this little woman's like, "This is Bradley. He's a stripper." And Aldous. So Aldous, he goes from that position. He's like, "Oh, that, what's going on?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm losing my mind. So I look at this woman. I look at Aldous. I'm like, "No!" And I look at this woman. I'm like, "I don't what?" And then I look back at the sideline reporter for the Blazers, this like really pretty lady that I was really having fun with that day. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And then and she's laughing. And then that kind of clued me. And then I turn around. I'm like, "Oh, fuck all y'all." And then Aldous, like, he doubled over. He started laughing. Aldous Hodge is a good dude. My first memory on being on a professional set may still be my favorite.
Okay.
That was an amazingly wonderful day. And it was just me being an extra and the production staff being really genuine, cool people. So,
What was the complex you got from that? Or was it just because it was so weird?
have you ever seen me not be 100% completely situationally aware of what I am doing on set?
There is that. Okay, yeah. Now I get it. Now I see it. Okay. Yep.
I don't make mistakes. Like all of my mistakes are on
no
camera
more-
and they are bloopers. That is what
No
they
more,
are. Everything else,
no more
I am
hiding in the
hyper
bushes.
fucking vigilant.
Yeah, that is true. I have noticed that before.
Yeah, am I good? Am I in the right place? Do I need to be somewhere else? Is there something that I need to be? I'm good. I'm good. You sure I'm good? All right, I'm good then. You need help? Like,
That was the part that got me. Like that was still what blew me away. Like when we were on the first time we were on set together, and I'm sitting here like, to direct, I'm trying to wrangle like Sam and Kate together into a scene, and then I turn around and I'm like, why is he holding a boom mic? why is our action star holding a boom mic? Tab's just like, he
wanted to
offered.
help.
Yeah, he offered. What was I going to say? No, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
I'm not upset at the complex that I got from that. I rather enjoyed it. It kind of just pushed me to be myself a little bit more. but I am in my head on that. Like when I'm leaving a set, I am checking with every single person from that set to make sure that I didn't miss a beat, that I didn't miss to turn something in. I like how much my world crumbled when she was like, "You fuck that take up."
And you
Like,
had no defense.
nothing. So yeah, that's the complex I got from that one.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But the story of that day it took me away from remembering why I started telling that story. I get caught up in that one. That is one of my favorites.
Yeah. No, it is. It's very cool. Yeah.
Dude, when Commander Riker gives you the compliment,
Yep.
and then a part of me wants to believe that was Aldous Hodge's mom, and that like because she was older. I mean, not like old, but she was older.
Right.
And the way that Aldous just completely keyed in on it, I really want to believe that that was him and his mom just having fun on set and just fucking with me, because it was a great day. They were and the fact that she called me a stripper and his reaction to that, I.
Oh, like, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
what are you
like
doing talking to this man?
basically, it kind of came off like, wait, why's the stripper talking to my mama? Like I was like, but like I said, I might be throwing extra stank on there just because I want that to be the situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.